When I was a little kid, the two things I loved most in life were Godzilla and NES games. So, naturally, when Godzilla Monster of Monsters came out, it was like a dream come true. Well, almost. To sum it up, most of the game revolved around getting through very repetitive outer space levels, while smashing up tanks and jets, and then eventually getting to fight Godzilla's monster enemies. Overall, it was pretty mediocre, but back then I didn't care. When I got the game as a present for my 10th birthday, I played it night and day, as much as I possibly could. Unfortunately, I had traded the game for another game called Amagon a year later, much to my regret when I found out what Amagon was actually like. Recently, I had bought a new NES system, and through a lot of hunting and asking around, my best friend Billy finally managed to find a copy of Godzilla Monster of Monsters. I was pumped to play my favorite childhood game again. It never even occurred to me to ask where Billy found it. He also found some other games like Legend of Zelda, Bomberman, and some stupid thing called Action 52, but Godzilla had to come first. So when I got home, I started the game up, and nostalgia came flooding back like a tsunami. Godzilla's 8-bit theme song flooded proudly through the speakers, and I was soon grinning like an idiot. Some people laugh at me for playing such outdated games, but I've never had as much enjoyment for any games other than those on the NES. Those 8-bit games just take me back to when things were much simpler and more safe. But after what's happened with this game, I'm not sure I'll have those feelings again. I had forgotten how unfathomably quick the fun of smashing things as Godzilla wore off in the scrolling levels. The game bombards you with bullets and things crashing into you from every direction, and you're too big to avoid most of them. Although my excitement had worn down some, it wasn't long at all before I got to my first boss battle. My first opponent was Gazora, an obscure squid kaiju who had never actually been in a Godzilla movie. The most annoying thing about fighting Gazora is that he always backs you into a corner and starts smacking you with his tentacles, and you're unable to move until he gets off of you. This move doesn't actually do any damage, but it can stall you until the timer runs out, and then you have to start the fight over again, plus he regains some health. It's just as annoying as it sounds, and of course he did it when I fought him. Only, for some reason, this caused the game to glitch up, because once he started attacking me, he never stopped. The timer is supposed to end the fight in about 40 seconds, but this lasted for nearly 5 minutes. After a while, the graphics started to mess up as well, with little red blocks all over the place. I thought it was weird, but I just took the game out, blew on it, and restarted the system. I wasn't about to let a little glitch stand in my way of playing my favorite childhood game again. So I started again, and this time defeated Gazora and the level's other boss monster, Mogira, without any problems. So then it was finally on to the next planet, Mars. I browsed around the board a bit and found something unexpected. Where Varen's piece should have been, there was a piece representing Titanosaurus. Now, there were only 10 kaiju in the game, and Titanosaurus was not one of them. Or so I thought. Perhaps Titanosaurus was originally intended to be the game, but was swapped out with Varen for some reason? So I began to feel very excited. Not only was I playing my favorite game, but I was playing a prototype of some sort with a new monster. Needless to say, I ran through the levels as fast as possible so I could see Titanosaurus in action. I fought Gazora again and beat him before he could do his dreaded tentacle smack, but this time the glitch started happening when he died. Gazora's sprite didn't sink to the bottom as intended, but instead seemed to be devoured by the glitch. Plus his eye started randomly spawning all over the screen. I now know that these glitches with Gazora were my very first warning sign that something was terribly wrong with this game. But foolishly, I ignored it and proceeded on to fight Mogira, who this time had a glitch of his own. Mogira was twice the size he should have been, which startled me. He was also considerably harder to beat than usual, which is to say not at all. But soon I had defeated him also, and when he died, yet another glitch happened. Now this happened extremely fast, so I was lucky to get a screen cap of it at all. But what happened was that the giant Mogira sprite started to shatter and melt all over the screen. Also, if you look at the garbled text at the right corner of the screen, you'll notice what appears to be a bird in a cage. I still have no idea what that meant. Now, at this point, I was finally about to fight Titanosaurus, and I was worried as to just what kind of glitches would occur this time, but to my surprise, Titanosaurus looked just fine. Although all of the game's monster sprites were the same height, Titanosaurus was a bit taller, which, since Titanosaurus was actually taller than Godzilla in his film debut, I thought this was kinda cool. After a very fun fight with the monster that wasn't even supposed to be in the game, I took over the enemy base and proceeded not to Jupiter as normal, but instead to Pathos.